I watched in horror as the HOA president grabbed my disabled daughter's walker and yanked it away. Emma's screams still haunt me. Both arms broken. Dreams shattered. But that cruel woman made one mistake, she picked the wrong child to hurt. Now she's facing 22 years in prison. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The autumn sun painted golden streaks across Willow Creek Park that Tuesday afternoon. I watched from our kitchen window as my 8-year-old daughter Emma carefully pushed her pink walker toward the playground gate, her face glowing with pure joy. After 18 months of painful physical therapy following her cerebral palsy diagnosis, she had finally built enough strength to visit the park independently. Emma's brown curls bounced with each careful step. This playground meant everything to her. It was her victory, her symbol of hope, her proof that hard work pays off. I was recording her on my phone, capturing this precious moment, when I saw her approaching. Margaret Henderson, HOA president. The woman everyone called Hurricane Karen, behind closed doors. She stormed toward Emma like an angry bull, her face twisted with rage. My heart dropped. "Get that thing out of my playground." Margaret's voice cut through the peaceful afternoon like a knife. I started running. But I was too far away. Emma froze, her small hands gripping the walker handles. She looked up at Margaret with confused, frightened eyes. "I'm sorry. I don't understand. That equipment doesn't belong here. This is a playground for normal children. You're blocking the path." My legs pumped harder. I was screaming Emma's name. "But ma'am, I have a right to be here," Emma said softly, her voice trembling. "My mommy says this park is for everyone." "Your mommy is wrong." Margaret grabbed Emma's walker and yanked it forward with brutal force. What happened next will haunt me forever. Emma, still holding the walker handles, was pulled off balance. Her weak legs couldn't save her. She fell forward hard, trying to catch herself with her arms. The crack echoed across the playground. A sound that still wakes me screaming at night. Both arms. Both of her beautiful, brave arms that had worked so hard to grow stronger. Broken. Emma's scream pierced the air. Not just pain, pure terror and betrayal. "Emma!" I reached her in seconds, falling to my knees beside her small body. Her arms were bent at terrible angles, her face white with shock, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Mommy. Mommy, it hurts so bad, why did she hurt me? What did I do wrong?" Emma sobbed, her whole body shaking. Margaret stood there, pale but defiant. She shouldn't have been blocking the walkway with that contraption. This is her own fault. You broke my daughter's arms. I screamed. Don't you dare move. Someone call 911. Several parents who witnessed everything were already on their phones. One mother was sobbing. A father was recording everything, his face filled with horror. I barely touched her, Margaret said coldly. She fell because she's clumsy. She shouldn't be here if she can't handle a playground. Lady, we all saw what you did, a father said, stepping between us. You assaulted a disabled child. The police are coming. Margaret's expression changed. Reality began sinking in. I was just trying to maintain order. I'm the HOA president. I have authority. You have no authority to hurt children. I screamed through my tears. The ambulance arrived within minutes, but those minutes felt like hours. Emma kept asking why that lady hurt her, what she'd done wrong. Each question broke another piece of my heart. As paramedics stabilized Emma's arms, I heard them whisper, both radius and ulna, compound fractures. Surgery needed. Emma heard too. Her sobs grew louder. Surgery. Mommy, I'm scared. I know, baby. I'm right here. I'm not leaving you. The police arrived. Margaret was on her phone, probably calling her lawyer. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us," an officer said. "This is ridiculous. That child fell. I did nothing wrong. Do you know who I am? I'm on the city council committee. Ma'am, we have multiple witnesses and video footage. Come with us now." I rode in the ambulance holding Emma's hand, the only part of her I could touch without causing pain. She looked so small on that stretcher, so broken, so confused. "Am I a hazard, Mommy?" she whispered. Like the lady said. My heart shattered. "No, baby. No. You are perfect. You are beautiful. You are brave. That woman was wrong. Then why did she hurt me?" I had no answer. The emergency room was chaos. Doctors, nurses, X-rays, and Emma's continuous crying. They sedated her before examining the brakes. Watching my baby fight the anesthesia, still crying about that mean lady, nearly destroyed me. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the orthopedic surgeon, showed me X-rays with a grim expression. Both arms have compound fractures. For a child with cerebral palsy, this is devastating. She'll need extensive surgery. Mrs. Chen, I need to be honest, she may never regain the strength she had before. I collapsed into a chair. What are you saying? Emma worked hard to build arm strength. That's what allowed her to use the walker independently. These fractures, combined with extended immobilization, will cause severe muscle atrophy. We'll do everything we can, but she may never use a walker independently again. 18 months of Emma crying through therapy. 18 months of small victories. 18 months of watching my brave girl refuse to give up. All destroyed in 30 seconds by one cruel woman's hatred. I want to see her before surgery. Emma looked tiny in the hospital bed, her arms in temporary splints, her eyes red. When she saw me, fresh tears fell. "Mommy, they say I need surgery. They say I might not walk with my walker anymore. They say I might need a wheelchair forever." I climbed carefully into bed beside her. "Whatever happens, we face it together. You're the strongest person I know." "But Mommy, I worked so hard. Remember when I took my first steps? You cried happy tears. Remember when I made it to the mailbox? You bought me chocolate ice cream. Remember when I could go to the playground alone? You were so proud." I was crying now. I am proud. I will always be proud. What happened wasn't your fault. Then why did that lady hate me? Some people have so much darkness inside that they can't see light in others. She saw your walker and instead of seeing how brave you are, she only saw something she didn't understand. She chose cruelty. "I hate her," Emma said quietly. My sweet girl had never said she hated anyone. "I know, baby. I hate her so much. My arms hurt so bad. I'm so scared I'll never get better." The surgical team came. Emma started crying again. "Mommy, don't leave me. I'll be right here when you wake up. I love you more than all the stars. To the moon and back. To the moon and back, infinity times." The surgery took 4 hours. 4 hours of pacing and crying. My phone blew up with messages from neighbors who'd witnessed the attack. The video was spreading like wildfire. But one message from elderly neighbor Mrs. Patterson made me plan revenge. "Dear Rachel, I've known Margaret Henderson for 15 years. She's done terrible things before and gotten away with them because of money and position. She had the Johnson family evicted. She had the Martinez dog taken away. She's made countless lives miserable. But this is unforgivable. I have documentation of everything. If you need it for court, it's yours. That woman needs to be stopped." Dr. Mitchell finally emerged. Surgery went well but was complicated. We inserted pins in both arms. Emma will be in casts for at least 12 weeks. After that, intensive therapy. It's a long road. Emma looked like a doll, her arms in bright pink casts from hands to above elbows. She could barely move her fingers. When she saw me, she cried. "Mommy, I can't move. I can't do anything." Reality crashed over us. Emma couldn't feed herself, dress herself, use the bathroom alone. She was 8 years old and suddenly completely dependent. "We'll figure it out together. I want to go home. I want Mr. Hoppy. Her stuffed rabbit." I stayed all night in a chair beside her bed. Around 3 a.m., Emma woke crying. "Mommy, I had a nightmare. The mean lady was saying I don't belong anywhere." I climbed into her bed carefully. "You belong everywhere, Emma. The world is lucky to have you. I wish I was normal. If I was normal, this wouldn't have happened." "Emma Lin Chen, listen. There is nothing wrong with you. You have cerebral palsy, yes. That means your body works differently, not that it's broken. Your walker is your superpower. Anyone who can't see how amazing you are, that's their problem, not yours. But it hurts, Mommy. Not just my arms. My heart hurts too. Mine too. But that woman is going to face consequences. I promise you that. I meant every word. Margaret Henderson was going to pay." The next morning, Detective Sarah Williams came to the hospital. "Mrs. Chen, I need your statement. Every detail." I told her everything while Emma slept. About Emma's struggles with cerebral palsy, about months of therapy. About how proud Emma was to reach the playground independently. And exactly what Margaret did. "We have video from 3 witnesses," Detective Williams said. "It clearly shows Mrs. Henderson grabbing the walker and pulling it, causing Emma to fall. We also have audio of her saying Emma didn't belong because of her disability." "What charges?" "Assault causing bodily harm, child endangerment, and disability-based hate crime. Depending on medical reports, we may add charges for causing permanent disability." "She's claiming it was an accident. She says Emma fell on her own." Rage burned through me. "That's a lie. I was there. You have video." "I know. But her lawyer is expensive. We need an airtight case. Would you be willing to pursue this publicly?" Social media, news stations, community pressure. Margaret has a history of using wealth to make problems disappear. So even with video evidence, she might walk free. Detective Williams met my eyes. "Not if we don't let her. Not if the community stands with you. Not if this becomes too public to bury." She gave me a card. Melissa Tran. Investigative journalist who's been wanting to expose Margaret for years. Now she has evidence. What about Emma? She's already traumatized. Your choice completely. You can tell Emma's story without her present. But seeing Emma, hearing her story in her own words, it's powerful. It makes juries convict and judges give maximum sentences. I looked at my sleeping daughter. Let me talk to her when she's better. It's her story. She decides. My brother-in-law Marcus, a prosecutor, called that evening. "Rachel, I've been looking into Margaret's history. It's worse than we thought." "What do you mean?" 6 formal complaints in 10 years, all dismissed quietly. 2 involved children. 1 13-year-old boy she grabbed hard enough to bruise. A 7-year-old girl with ADHD she called CPS on repeatedly. She targets anyone not fitting her perfect community vision. Especially children with disabilities. How is she still in power? Money, connections, fear, she threatens lawsuits. Most people can't afford to fight. But this time is different. She assaulted a disabled child in front of witnesses on camera. This is the case that brings her down. What do I do? Document everything. Medical records, therapy sessions, limitations, messages from neighbors. Consider going public. The more pressure on the DA, the less likely they accept a plea deal. Detective Williams mentioned Melissa Tran. She's good. Fair but relentless. She won't sensationalize but won't pull punches either. After hanging up, I looked at Emma's hospital room. I'm going to make sure she faces every consequence. For Emma. For everyone she's hurt. For everyone she might hurt if we don't stop her. I met Melissa Tran 3 days after Emma came home. She was petite with sharp eyes and quiet competence. I've investigated Margaret Henderson for 3 years, she said. I knew she was a bully but couldn't prove it. Victims were too scared. Until now. She showed me a file of Margaret's previous victims. The bruised boy, the families who lost homes and pets. Others I didn't know. 8 families she's targeted are willing to testify now. What she did to Emma opened the floodgates. People are ready to come forward. Why now? Because she hurt a child visibly, severely, undeniably. And you're willing to fight. Others tried but Margaret's lawyers specialize in intimidation. They threaten countersuits, drag cases out, dig into personal lives. Most give up. I won't give up. I don't care what it costs or how long it takes. Melissa smiled grimly. That's what I hoped you'd say. I want to do a full investigative piece. Emma's story as main focus, including all of Margaret's history. What do you need? Everything: medical records, photos, video footage, your story of Emma's struggles, and if Emma's willing, an interview. She's 8 and traumatized. I know. But hearing a child describe how an adult hurt them makes it impossible for people to look away. I thought about Emma's questions. Why did she hurt me? What did I do wrong? Let me talk to her. But if she gets upset, we stop immediately. You have my word. The story went live 2 days later. HOA president breaks disabled child's arms, a pattern of abuse exposed. It was devastating. Video footage, Emma's x-rays, interviews with previous victims, financial records of Margaret silencing complaints, and a timeline of every incident. But most powerful was Emma's interview. I sat beside her, holding her hand. I worked really hard to walk with my walker, Emma said, voice small but clear. Every day I did therapy. Sometimes it hurt so much I cried. But I didn't give up because I wanted to be strong. I wanted to go to the playground like other kids. What happened when you got there? Melissa asked gently. The mean lady yelled at me. She said my walker didn't belong. She said I was blocking the path. But I wasn't. I was just walking to the swings. I always wanted to swing high enough to touch the sky. Emma's tears started. She grabbed my walker and pulled it. I fell. I heard my arms break. It hurt so much. And I didn't understand why she was mad. I didn't do anything bad. What would you say to Mrs. Henderson now? Emma looked at the camera, tears streaming, voice trembling but strong. I would ask her why she hates me. What did I do that was so bad? I just wanted to play. I just wanted to be a regular kid. My arms hurt every day. I can't feed myself or dress myself. I'm scared I'll never use my walker again. You took that from me. You took my independence. You took my happiness. And I don't understand why. The article exploded. Within 24 hours, over 100,000 shares. Local then national news picked it up. Comments flooded in. This monster needs prison. How can anyone hurt a disabled child? This is evil. That poor baby worked so hard and that which destroyed everything. The HOA held an emergency meeting. The community center was packed. Margaret was there with her lawyer, looking defiant and annoyed rather than sorry. The board president opened. We're addressing the serious incident involving Margaret Henderson and 8-year-old Emma Chen. Mrs. Henderson, your statement. Margaret stood, smoothing her expensive suit. I've been subjected to vicious lies and character assassination. I am the victim. That article was a hit piece. The child fell on her own. I barely touched her walker. I was clearing a safety hazard, as is my duty. Instead of gratitude, I'm being persecuted. The crowd erupted in angry shouts. We've reviewed the video footage. Doctored, her lawyer interrupted. We're having experts examine it. There were 15 witnesses. Mob mentality, Margaret said dismissively. I stood, shaking with rage. You broke my daughter's arms. Both of them. She needs pins in her bones. She can't feed herself. She cries herself to sleep terrified she'll never be independent again. And you're calling yourself the victim? Margaret's eyes went cold. Your daughter was where she shouldn't be. If you taught her proper playground etiquette. She's 8 with cerebral palsy. I screamed. She was using equipment to help her walk. There's video of you grabbing and yanking it. You assaulted a disabled child. The board president banged his gavel. Mrs. Henderson, you're suspended immediately pending criminal investigation. The board voted unanimously. Margaret's face turned purple. You can't do this. I've served 10 years. You've terrorized this community for 10 years, a man stood, the father from the pool incident. You bruised my son when he was 13. We were too scared to press charges. Not anymore. I'm filing a police report this week. One by one, people stood sharing stories of Margaret's cruelty. The meeting ended with the board voting to cooperate fully with police and review Margaret's actions for financial misappropriation. Her reign of terror was over. But the criminal case was just beginning. The preliminary hearing came 2 months later. Emma's casts had been removed, replaced with braces. Her arms were weak, pale, thin from atrophy. The therapist had been blunt. Emma lost most of her progress. She could barely lift a cup, much less use her walker. We'd gotten her a wheelchair. Watching them fit her for it was one of the darkest days of my life. I don't want a wheelchair, Emma sobbed. I want my walker. I want to walk again. You will, baby. It just takes time. That's what you said before. But it's been 2 months and I'm weaker. My arms don't work right. I can't even hold Mr. Hoppy. The courthouse was intimidating. I wheeled Emma inside, her body tense. I don't want to see her, Emma whispered. I don't want to see the mean lady. You don't have to look at her. You can look at me the whole time. The courtroom was packed. Margaret entered with 3 expensive lawyers, looking perfectly composed. When her eyes landed on Emma in the wheelchair, I saw satisfaction flicker across her face. That look made my blood boil. Prosecutor Janet Morrison presented methodically. She showed the video on large screens. Emma whimpered watching her own assault. The defense lawyer argued the video was out of context. Mrs. Henderson was moving equipment blocking a walkway. This was an accident, not assault. An accident? Janet's voice was sharp. She displayed Emma's X-rays, the terrible fractures, surgical pins, before and after muscle development. Emma Chen spent 18 months building strength to use her walker. Margaret Henderson destroyed that progress in 30 seconds. Both arms broken. Surgery required. Months of recovery. She called Dr. Mitchell to testify. Emma has cerebral palsy affecting her muscle tone. The bilateral fractures with extended immobilization caused severe atrophy. In my professional opinion, Emma may never regain her previous independence. She may require assistive devices beyond what she needed. The psychological trauma compounds physical challenges. She's now afraid of her own body. So this assault didn't just break Emma's arms. It potentially ended her ability to walk independently. That is a very real possibility. The courtroom went silent except for Emma's quiet crying. Margaret's lawyer cross-examined aggressively. Doctor, don't children with cerebral palsy often have setbacks? Setbacks, yes. Not catastrophic ones like this. There's no reason Emma would have lost this much function without these fractures. When the defense's turn came, they painted Margaret as a concerned leader who made an error in judgment. They claimed she hadn't realized Emma was holding the walker. They suggested Emma would have fallen anyway due to poor balance. It was disgusting. Then they called Margaret to testify. She spoke calmly. I saw equipment blocking the walkway. It's my responsibility to maintain safe paths. I didn't see the child holding it. I simply moved it aside. I had no intention of harm. Mrs. Henderson, how do you feel about what happened? Of course I feel terrible the child was injured. But I don't believe I'm responsible. She has a medical condition affecting balance. If she couldn't safely use that equipment, perhaps she shouldn't have been at the playground unsupervised. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Janet Morrison pounced during cross-examination. Mrs. Henderson, you testified you didn't see Emma holding the walker. Let's watch again. The footage played. You could clearly see Emma's hands gripping the walker. Margaret's eyes focused directly on Emma as she grabbed and yanked. Does this look like you didn't see her? The video angle. Yes or no? Can you see Emma's hands on the walker? Well, yes, but... And your eyes are looking directly at Emma before you grab it? It happened quickly. So you did see her. You lied under oath. Margaret's composure cracked. I misspoke. You said you felt terrible about Emma's injuries. But witnesses say immediately after Emma fell screaming, you said she shouldn't have been blocking the walkway. This is her own fault. Does that sound like someone who feels terrible? I was in shock. You told Emma before the assault that the playground was for normal children and her walker didn't belong. Correct? I don't recall. We have audio, Mrs. Henderson. Would you like me to play it? Margaret went pale. Her lawyer objected but the judge allowed it. Emma's voice came through speakers, but ma'am, I have a right to be here. Margaret's harsh voice, your mommy is wrong. This is for normal children. The courtroom erupted. Janet presented evidence of every incident, the bruised boy, the taken dog, the evictions, the harassment. With each piece, Margaret's mask slipped further. You target children, don't you? Especially children who are different. I maintain community standards. By bruising a boy, by breaking a disabled girl's arms. That child shouldn't have. She stopped, too late. Shouldn't have what? Existed in your perfect community. Dared to use a playground while disabled. Margaret was too angry to stop. She was blocking the path. The equipment didn't belong there. I have a right to maintain order. And Emma had a right to exist without being assaulted. But you took that from her. You saw a disabled child and decided to physically remove her. And when she fell and broke both arms, you felt no remorse. You blamed an 8-year-old child. I want to stop testifying. No further questions. The judge ruled sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. Margaret was ordered to wear an ankle monitor and stay 500 feet from Emma or any playground. Bail set at $500,000. As we left, reporters swarmed. I prepared a statement. My daughter Emma is the bravest person I know. She fought so hard for independence, and it was stolen by someone who couldn't see past prejudice and cruelty. We're grateful the justice system is taking this seriously. But no verdict can give Emma back what she lost. We hope by speaking out, we prevent this from happening to other children. Emma added quietly, I just want to walk again. I want to go back to the playground. I want to not be scared anymore. The cameras caught her tears, her thin arms, her wheelchair. That image was on every news channel. Public opinion turned even more fiercely against Margaret. #JusticeForEmma trended nationally. Donations poured in for Emma's medical care. Letters came from everywhere, from other disabled children, parents, people who'd been marginalized, all expressing support. But the letter that meant most came from 10-year-old Sophie, who had cerebral palsy. "Dear Emma, I saw your story and cried because I'm scared that could happen to me. But you're also my hero because you're so brave. I use a walker too and sometimes people are mean. But watching you makes me want to be brave. I hope your arms get better soon. You do belong at the playground. You belong everywhere. Love, Sophie." Emma kept that letter on her nightstand and read it every night. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Emma had been in intensive therapy 3 times a week, trying to rebuild strength. Progress was slow and painful. She could lift light objects, but using her walker was still impossible. The wheelchair had become her reality. School was hard. Some kids treated her differently. Others asked invasive questions. A few were cruel, echoing parents' opinions that Emma's mother was just after money. But there were good moments. Emma's teacher did a class unit on accessibility. Many classmates became fiercely protective. When one boy made a mean comment about her wheelchair, 3 kids defended her immediately. Still, Emma had changed. Quieter, more withdrawn, nightmares almost every night. She flinched when adults approached quickly. The sparkle in her eyes was dimmed. I got her into therapy with Dr. Patricia Wong, who specialized in childhood trauma. It was helping slowly. But Dr. Wong was clear, Emma's recovery would take years. The trauma was deep. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence: videos, medical records, witness testimony, expert analysis, statements from Margaret's previous victims establishing a pattern. Margaret's defense tried everything. They claimed Emma's cerebral palsy made her prone to falls. They suggested I was negligent. They painted Margaret as dedicated community servant who made one mistake. They argued Emma's current condition was due to inadequate therapy, not the injuries. Nothing worked. The evidence was too strong. On the 7th day, I testified. I told Emma's story from the beginning: the diagnosis at 2 years of therapy, small victories, big dreams, the day she first used her walker independently, the pride when she reached the playground alone. And I told them what was stolen. Emma used to say she wanted to be a dancer. She knew it would be hard, maybe impossible, but she wanted to try. She loved moving to music. Now she says she doesn't want to be anything. She says there's no point in dreams when your body doesn't work. I was crying. She used to be so brave. So determined. Now she's afraid all the time. Afraid her body will fail again. Afraid people will hurt her. Afraid to hope. What would you say to Mrs. Henderson? I looked directly at Margaret, sitting with her usual cool mask. I'd ask if it was worth it. If maintaining your perfect community was worth destroying a child's life. If your hatred of people who are different was worth stealing an 8-year-old's independence and joy. I'd ask if you feel any remorse. But I already know. I've seen your face in court. You still think you did nothing wrong. You still think Emma was the problem, not your cruelty. On the 10th day, Emma testified via video link from a private room so she wouldn't face Margaret directly. The prosecutor's questions were gentle. Emma, can you tell us about your cerebral palsy? It makes my muscles not work right, Emma said softly. My legs are weak and my arms used to be weak too. But I did therapy and got stronger. I was really proud. Tell us about your walker. Emma's eyes lit up slightly. My walker is pink. It has wheels and handles. It helps me walk by myself. Before, I needed my mommy to hold me up. With my walker, I could go to the park alone. I felt so big and strong. What happened that day? Emma's expression changed. I was walking to the swings. I wanted to swing really high. But the mean lady stopped me. What did she say? She yelled that my walker didn't belong at the playground. She said it was for normal kids. She said I was blocking the path. Emma's voice got smaller. But I wasn't. I was just walking. What happened next? She grabbed my walker and pulled it really hard. I couldn't let go because I was holding on. If I let go, I fall. But she pulled so hard I fell anyway. And I heard my arms snap. It was the worst sound ever. And it hurt so much. Emma was crying. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders carefully. Can you tell the judge how your life has changed? Emma looked at the camera. I can't walk with my walker anymore. My arms are too weak. I have to use a wheelchair now. I can't do lots of things by myself. I need help eating and getting dressed and going to the bathroom. I'm 9 years old and I'm like a baby again. She took a shaky breath. I have bad dreams about the mean lady. I'm scared of strangers. I'm scared my arms won't get better. I'm scared I'll never walk again. I'm scared of playgrounds. I'm scared all the time. What would you want to say to Mrs. Henderson? Emma's face crumpled. Why did you hate me? I didn't do anything to you. I was just trying to play. I just wanted to swing and feel like a normal kid for a little bit. Why was that so wrong? Why did you have to hurt me? The defense attorney's cross was brief. Even he knew attacking a crying 9-year-old in a wheelchair would destroy any sympathy for his client. Emma, is it possible you lost your balance and Mrs. Henderson was trying to help? No, Emma said firmly. She grabbed my walker and pulled it away. I saw her face. She wasn't trying to help. She was mad. She wanted me gone. When Emma's testimony ended, there wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom, except Margaret's. She sat stone-faced, unmoved. The closing arguments were powerful. Janet Morrison stood before the jury with fire in her eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is about cruelty. Pure, deliberate cruelty. Margaret Henderson saw a disabled child at a playground and decided that child had no right to be there. Not because Emma was doing anything wrong. But because Emma's existence offended Margaret's sense of what her community should look like. She could have done nothing. She could have smiled at a brave little girl who'd worked so hard. Instead, she chose violence. She grabbed Emma's walker and yanked it with enough force to break both arms. And after Emma fell screaming in pain, Margaret showed no remorse. She blamed Emma. She said Emma shouldn't have been there. The defense wants you to believe this was an accident. But you've seen the video. You've heard the audio. You've listened to witnesses describe Margaret's pattern of targeting people who don't fit her vision of perfection. This wasn't an accident. This was assault. This was a hate crime against a disabled child. Emma may never walk independently again. She lives with chronic pain. She has PTSD. She's lost her independence, her confidence, her joy. Margaret Henderson needs to face full consequences. Not just for Emma, but for every person she's targeted. Not just for the past, but to prevent future victims. If we let her walk away, we're telling her, and people like her, that disability-based hate is acceptable. That children like Emma don't matter. I'm asking you to send a different message. Tell Emma that she does matter. That she did nothing wrong. That she deserved to be at that playground. That the person who hurt her will face justice. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, my heart pounded. On the count of assault causing bodily harm. Guilty. On child endangerment. Guilty. On disability-based hate crime. Guilty. The courtroom erupted in applause. Emma started crying, tears of relief. We won. The mean lady is in trouble. Yes, baby. She's in real trouble. Margaret's face was ashen. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. The judge scheduled sentencing for 2 weeks later. Margaret was remanded to custody, bail revoked. As officers led her away in handcuffs, she looked back at us. "This isn't fair," she screamed. "That child ruined my life. She was where she shouldn't be. This isn't fair." Even being led away, she couldn't take responsibility. She couldn't see Emma as a person, only as an inconvenience. 2 weeks later, the courtroom was packed for sentencing. I'd submitted a victim impact statement, as had previous victims. Dr. Mitchell submitted a medical report. Dr. Wong submitted a psychological report. Judge Patricia Martinez was a woman in her 60s with a reputation for fairness but also for not tolerating cruelty against children. She read parts of the victim impact statements. From Rachel Chin, "Margaret Henderson didn't just break my daughter's arms. She broke her spirit, her confidence, her trust in the world. She stole 18 months of progress. She stole Emma's independence. She stole her joy." From Dr. Mitchell, "In 30 years as an orthopedic surgeon, I've never seen such devastating psychological impact. Emma's physical recovery is complicated by her mental state. She's terrified of her own body. The physical damage may heal, but the psychological damage may be permanent." From Dr. Wong, "Emma exhibits PTSD, anxiety, and depression. At 9, she has panic attacks and nightly nightmares. She's lost trust in adults outside her immediate family. Recovery will take years, and even then, scars will remain." Judge Martinez looked at Margaret. "Mrs. Henderson, you were given an opportunity to make a statement. Do you wish to?" Margaret stood. "Your Honor, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to hurt the child. I've already lost my position, my reputation, everything I worked for. I think that's punishment enough." The judge's expression hardened. "You think losing your job is equivalent to destroying a child's life? You think your reputation matters more than Emma Chen's arms? Mrs. Henderson, I've presided over many cases. I've seen people who made genuine mistakes and showed genuine remorse. You are not one of those people." She picked up a document. "I have reviewed your history extensively. The pattern is clear. You have consistently targeted individuals you perceived as not meeting your standards. You have used your position to bully, intimidate, and harm. And when finally held accountable, you showed no remorse. Even now, your statement focuses on your losses, not Emma's suffering. The prosecution has asked for the maximum sentence, 10 years for assault causing bodily harm, 5 years for child endangerment, and 7 years for disability-based hate crime, to run consecutively. 22 years total." Margaret's face went white. "Your defense has asked for probation and community service, arguing this was a first offense. But this wasn't a first offense. This was the first time you couldn't make the problem disappear with lawyers and money and intimidation. This was the first time your victim was brave enough and had enough support to fight back." Judge Martinez looked at Emma, who was sitting in her wheelchair beside me, gripping my hand. "Emma, I want you to hear me clearly. You did nothing wrong. You had every right to be at that playground. Your walker is not a contraption or a hazard. It's a tool that helps you do what you want to do. Anyone who makes you feel otherwise is wrong. Do you understand?" Emma nodded, tears flowing. "Good. Because you need to know that. The world is lucky to have you in it, exactly as you are." Judge Martinez turned back to Margaret. "Mrs. Henderson, I sentence you as follows: for assault causing bodily harm, 10 years. For child endangerment, 5 years to run consecutively, for disability-based hate crime, 7 years to run consecutively. 22 years total." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Margaret swayed on her feet. Furthermore, I'm ordering you to pay full restitution for all of Emma's medical costs, therapy costs, and adaptive equipment for the rest of her life. Additionally, you will pay $500,000 in damages for pain and suffering. Your Honor, Margaret's lawyer stood. That's what happens when you assault a disabled child and show no remorse, Judge Martinez said coldly. Mrs. Henderson, you had power, position, and resources. You could have used those things to make your community better. Instead, you used them as weapons against anyone who didn't meet your narrow definition of acceptable. You targeted children. You targeted the vulnerable. You showed cruelty where you should have shown compassion. I hope you use your time in prison to reflect on the pain you've caused. To truly understand the impact of your actions, because until you do, you're not fit to be part of any community. The gavel came down. This court is adjourned. Officers immediately approached Margaret. She looked back at her lawyer, at the courtroom, at us. Her mask finally cracked completely. She was crying, not tears of remorse, but tears of self-pity and rage. This isn't fair, she screamed as they led her away. That child ruined my life. She was where she shouldn't be. This isn't fair. Even in handcuffs, she couldn't take responsibility. She still couldn't see Emma as a person. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Emma surprised me by saying she wanted to speak. I lowered the microphone to her level. Emma looked at the cameras, at the world watching. My name is Emma Chen. I'm 9 years old. I have cerebral palsy. I use a wheelchair now because a mean lady broke my arms and I can't use my walker yet. Maybe never. Her voice was small but steady. But I want other kids like me to know something. You belong everywhere. Playgrounds, schools, stores, parks, everywhere. If someone says you don't belong because you're different, they're wrong. Not you. Them. I'm still scared sometimes. I still have bad dreams. But I'm trying to be brave. And I hope if you see someone being mean to someone who's different, you'll stand up for them. Because it's really scary when no one helps. She paused, tears in her eyes but voice still strong. The mean lady is going to jail for a long time. And I'm glad. Because she hurt a lot of people, not just me. And maybe now people will know that it's not okay to hurt kids just because they're different. That night, Emma's speech went viral. #EmmaStrong trended worldwide. Messages flooded in from children with disabilities, parents, advocates, strangers. Emma had become a symbol of resilience and justice. But that night, tucked into bed with Mr. Hoppy beside her, Emma was just a 9-year-old girl who'd been through too much. Mommy, she said as I turned out the light. Yes, baby. Is it really over? Is she really gone? She's really gone. She can't hurt you or anyone else anymore. Good. Emma was quiet for a moment. Mommy? Do you think I'll ever not be scared? I sat on her bed, stroking her hair gently. I think the scared feelings will get smaller. Not gone, maybe, but smaller. And I think you'll get stronger, not just your arms, but inside. You're already so much stronger than you know. I don't feel strong. Strong people rarely do. But Emma, you testified in court. You spoke to those reporters. You told your story even when it hurt. That's brave. That's strong. Emma thought about this. Maybe I can be like those superheroes who are scared but do brave things anyway. You already are one of those superheroes. But I don't have superpowers. I can't even use my walker. Your superpower is that you keep trying even when things are hard. That's the best superpower of all. Emma smiled slightly, a real smile, the first genuine one in months. Can my superhero name be Walker Girl? When you can use your walker again, absolutely. I'm going to use it again, Mommy. I decided. It's going to be really hard and it's going to hurt and I'm going to be scared. But I'm going to do it anyway. Because Walker Girl doesn't give up. No, she doesn't. The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window as I watched Emma in the backyard. She was using her walker, the same pink walker from that terrible day, now covered in stickers she'd added over the past year. It had taken 18 months of intensive therapy, tears, setbacks, and small victories. There were days Emma wanted to give up, days the pain was too much, days the fear won. But slowly, painfully, impossibly, she'd done it. She'd regained enough strength to use her walker again. She wasn't as fast as before. She tired more easily. She still used the wheelchair sometimes for longer distances. But she could walk. She was independent again in the ways that mattered most to her. "Mommy," she called. "Watch this." She made it all the way across the yard without stopping, her face glowing with pride. "I see you, Walker Girl." Emma giggled, a sound I'd missed desperately during the dark months. She was 11 now. Still in therapy, still working on strength, still having occasional nightmares. The trauma hadn't disappeared. But Emma had learned to carry it differently. She'd learned she was stronger than what happened to her. She'd also become an advocate. She spoke at schools about disability awareness and bullying. She'd testified before the state legislature about accessibility laws. She'd been featured in magazines and documentaries. Emma had taken her pain and transformed it into purpose. Margaret was in prison. We rarely thought about her anymore. Her appeals had failed. The HOA had dissolved and reformed with new leadership. The playground had been renovated with input from disability advocates, including Emma. There was a plaque there now, Emma's Playground, a place for everyone. Ready to go to the park? I called to Emma. Her face lit up. It had taken a year before she was ready to return to Willow Creek Park. Now she went several times a week, reclaiming the space that had been stolen from her. "Can I go on the swings?" "Of course." At the park, other children waved at Emma. Some knew her from news coverage. Others just knew her as the friendly girl who always had stickers to share. A little boy with leg braces made his way over with his walker. "Hi Emma. Can we race to the swings?" "You're on, Marcus." I watched them race, two kids with walkers, laughing and competing, completely unself-conscious. Emma's story had changed things. The community was more aware, more accepting, more accessible. Emma reached the swings first, laughing breathlessly. I won. I helped her onto the swing, and she started pumping her legs, going higher and higher. Her arms were strong enough now to hold the chain securely. She leaned back, her face to the sky, wind in her hair, that beautiful smile lighting up her whole face. "Mommy. I'm touching the sky. Just like I always wanted." Tears filled my eyes, happy tears this time. Because Emma was right. Despite everything, despite the cruelty and pain and long road of recovery, she'd made it. She was touching the sky. A woman approached me, her young daughter holding her hand. The girl had Down syndrome and was staring at Emma with wonder. "Excuse me," the woman said. "Are you Emma's mom? The Emma from the news?" "Yes," I said, nervous. "I just wanted to thank you. My daughter Lily is starting kindergarten next year, and I've been so scared. Scared of how other kids will treat her, scared of whether she'll be accepted. But watching Emma's story, seeing how brave she is, seeing how she stood up and made things change, it gave me hope. It gave Lily hope too. Lily was still watching Emma swing. Can I do that? Can I swing high like her? Of course you can, sweetheart. Is she a superhero? My mommy says she's a superhero. I smiled through my tears. Yes. She's Walker Girl. Lily's eyes went wide. That's the best superhero name ever. As Lily's mother helped her onto the swing next to Emma, the two girls started chatting immediately. Emma was showing Lily how to pump her legs to go higher, patient and encouraging. More children joined them, children with and without disabilities, all playing together, all belonging. I thought about that terrible day 2 years ago. The screaming, the broken arms, the shattered dreams. I thought about the darkness that followed, the pain, the fear, the seemingly impossible journey back. But I also thought about what came after. The community that rallied around us, the strangers who became friends, the laws that changed, the awareness that grew. Emma's transformation from victim to survivor to advocate. Margaret Henderson had tried to break Emma because she saw her as less than. But Emma had proven she was so much more. She was brave, resilient, compassionate, and strong. She'd taken the worst thing that ever happened to her and used it to make the world better for other kids like her. That evening, as we drove home, Emma was quiet, tired but happy. "Mommy? Do you think the mean lady is sorry?" I'd promised never to lie to Emma. "I don't know, sweetheart. But it doesn't matter anymore." "Why not?" "Because we don't need her to be sorry for us to heal. She couldn't take your courage or your kindness. Those are yours forever." Emma smiled. "Can we stop for ice cream?" I laughed. "Chocolate? Always chocolate." At the ice cream shop, Emma attacked her ice cream with joy. I took a photo, just for us. Emma happy, healing, hopeful. "What are you smiling about?" she asked, chocolate on her face. "Just thinking how lucky I am to be your mom." "I'm glad I told my story," Emma said quietly. "Now other kids know they're not alone. If even one kid feels braver because of me, then it was all worth it." Tears filled my eyes. My baby girl had transformed pain into compassion. That night, I tucked Emma into bed. "I love you more than all the stars. To the moon and back. To the moon and back, infinity times." "Mommy? I'm not scared anymore." "Well, maybe a little. But I know we can get through anything together." "Together," I agreed. She fell asleep peacefully, Mr. Hoppy tucked under her arm. I watched her breathe. My brave daughter. She'd faced darkness and chose light. Margaret Henderson had tried to break her. But Emma was unbreakable. The mean lady was in prison. Justice was served. But more importantly, Emma was free. Free to be herself, free to belong everywhere. And that was the greatest victory of all.